In today's tutorial, we're going to take a look at what's new in Spring Security 6.4. This means that if you're using the latest version of Spring Boot, which is 3.4.x, you are using Spring Security 6.4, and there are some new things to take a look at. We're going to do this. We're going to dive into the release notes for Spring Security 6.4. I'll leave you with that so you can kind of do a little bit more digging on your own. But I want to cover one particular feature today, and that is the one-time token login support that is new in 6.4. So this allows your users to log in without having a username and password. Let's say that I wanted to allow authentication for a particular user, but they didn't want to put in their username and password. They can come to our site, they can request a one-time token login. Now they have to be an authenticated user in our system, but they can request this token. We will send this off to them. This could be however you want to send it off to them, via email or SMS or through the mail if you wanted to, I guess. But probably actually that wouldn't work because it only is valid for a certain amount of time. But we send this off to them. They click that magic link in their email. They're taken to your application and they're automatically authenticated and able to view all of those super secret pages in your application. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to build this from the ground up today. We'll talk about one-time token logins and how they work, and we'll build this as an example through building a Spring Boot app with Spring Security and configure everything, and it'll be a lot of fun. So with that, I think what we need to do first is head over to the Spring documentation and look at what's new in Spring Security 6.4. All right, so here we are. Again, I'll leave a link for this in the description below, as well as all the code we're going to go through today. First off, there's some deprecation notices that you may want to take a look at. And then there is talking about two of the biggest features in this release, which is one-time token login. We're going to go through that today. And passkeys. Spring Security now has passkeys support, which is really great. There are some changes for method security. It now supports Spring Frameworks alias 4. So we have authenticated principal and current security contexts. And there are some changes to auth 2 that you want to look at. Specifically, I think we've done a video on this in the past, which is on the REST client. There's now an OAuth 2 access token response client. This means that if you want to make a request that is OAuth 2 during using the REST client, you can do so. Yeah, and then again, I've done a video on this in the past. If I remember to, I will leave a link to that in the description below. Some changes with SAML 2.0, some things with web. I wanted to just kind of give you this observability, yes, Kotlin, yes. So this is the what's new document. I'm going to leave this in the description below. Go through this, take a look at this. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is preparing for 7.0. We are in 2025. Spring Framework 7.0 is coming later this year. And we don't want to kind of have this thrown on our plate at the last second. Let's start thinking about if we want to upgrade to Spring Framework 7.0, here are some of the things when it comes to Spring Security that we want to be thinking about. So go ahead and check out that document. All right, so we are going to build a one-time token authentication app here. And I am going to go ahead and say that this is dev.danvega. We'll call this OTT. We'll use JDK 23. We'll have a couple of dependencies here. We'll have the web. I'm going to use Java Template Engine. So Java Template Engine, JTE, because we're going to build out a couple of just kind of UIs, some templates. And we're actually not even sending any dynamic data down. So it could really just be static assets, I guess. But I just want to use JTE. So I'm using that. No, that's not true. We will kind of post something. So I'm going to use JTE, and then we need Spring Security, of course. I like to include the actuator and the dev tools in kind of anything I do. So that is a good starting ground for our application. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click that generate button. That is going to download a zip. I will open this up in IntelliJ IDEA. That's my favorite editor of choice. That's the one I'm most productive in. But I want you to open it up in whatever text editor, IDE, Scratchpad, whatever you're productive in. Let's go ahead and open it in that. And with that, I think we have everything we need. So what are we waiting for? Let's write some code. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do in the JTE root, I'm going to drop a file called JTE root. That is good. And then in here, I'm going to create a new file. We're going to call this index.jte. I'm just going to paste some code in here. You can grab this from the repository that will be linked in the description below. But essentially all we're doing is bringing in Tailwind here just to add some styles. I've talked about this in the past many times, but do not do this in production. There are better ways to do this in production. I have videos on the channel to talk about that. So I'm just adding some styling. I got this nice high screen with a gray background. We have this welcome. We have a little bit of a nav. Again, don't need any of this, just kind of showing this off. But we have our super secret homepage here. If you're seeing this text, it means you have been authenticated. So we have a template for this. We need a controller for this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a page controller. This is going to be an @controller, and then you're just going to use a route mapping for this so that when we go to localhost 8080, this is what you see. So we'll call this home, and then we'll return index, and that will give us that particular template that we just showed off there. Now, to get there, we need to go ahead and set up some security. And we have security by default. One of the things I love about Spring Security is that everything is kind of locked down by default. But we want to override that. We're going to set up our own security. So I'm going to create a new class, and we're going to call this security config. And then we are going to say that this is a configuration class, and we want to enable web security. So that will get us off and running. I need a user, so I'm going to go ahead and create a bean. We're just going to use an in-memory user details manager to create an in-memory user. I'm going to call this Dan, and we'll say user.with username. We'll say, let's just say dvega, and then I'm going to set a password. So password. Don't ever do this. Again, this is just for a demo. I'm basically saying that there is no encryption on this and that my password is password. Go ahead and build that, and then I get a user back from that. So what I'm going to return is a new in-memory user details manager, and we can pass Dan in. So now I have a user in my system that I can work with, and I'm going to override that security configuration. So I'm going to say public security filter chain, call this security filter chain. We'll get in the HTTP security, call that HTTP. What I'll return from this is http.build. Okay, so now we can start to go ahead and create our security here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to authorized requests. I don't like that there. Let's put this here, right? And here. So what I want to do is, first thing I want to do is with auth. I want to say auth, and then what we'll do is take a request matcher in and just say, actually, let's just say any request. I want to make sure is locked down. So any request is authenticated. So that will kind of give us our secure by default. And if we will have a couple other routes that I want to just expose based on like security templates and stuff, we'll go ahead and allow those later. Next, I'm going to say, give me a form login. And then we'll just use the customizer.with defaults. If you ever see this and you wonder what this is, if you jump in there, it's really just a Lambda expression. So it's an empty Lambda expression because this form login takes a customizer, and we're just basically giving it an empty expression here. So that kind of sets up our defaults. So with the form login, that will give us everything we need. We can go ahead. We should be able to run our application. We should be able to go to localhost 8080, and it's going to basically give us a form login because everything must be authenticated. We should be able to log in with dvega and password and see our super secret homepage. Okay, so there's our form login. Let's say dvega password. And there is our super secret homepage. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and get us logged out. So we just need to delete that JSession ID. And the next time that we restart this, we should be able to see a login form again. But now what I want to do is go ahead and start adding our one-time token login support. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say one-time token login. Again, I'm going to say customizer with defaults. Now I'm going to start this. I want you to see the error. We are going to see an error. That's okay. When you do this, when you have a one-time token generation, a one-time token login DSL, once you use this, you need to have a success handler. Like what happens when this is a success? We need to like be able to handle this. So this is kind of giving you that error. If we look over here, security filter chain, one-time token generation success handler is required. So we need this if we want to be able to continue. So what I'm going to do is create a new class here. You could do this inline. I'm just going to create a new class because I'm going to do a bunch of things in here. So I'm going to say OTT success handler. And yes, please stop asking me this. I always want to add that to Git. So I'm not sure why it keeps asking me that. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to implement the one-time token generation success handler. There is a method called handle that we need to go ahead and use. All right, so what we want to do here is we want to build out, let me go ahead and close this to give us a little more room. We want to go ahead and build out this magic link and send this off to who has ever requested it. So let's go ahead and build the magic link first. And the way that I'm going to do this, and this is straight from the documentation. I am not smart enough to come up with this one on my own. So I'm going to use the components builder, and I'm going to say from HTTP URL. And what we are going to do is use the URL utils build full request URL, and we are going to get that from the request. All right. So we have that. So we need to replace the path. This is the request get context path. We are going to replace the query, which is null. We are going to fragment, which is null. And again, we're just kind of building out this magic link. So the path for this is actually going to be login/OTT. That's kind of built into Spring Security. If you look at the Spring Security docs, it will show you how you can customize that. And actually, that is something we did not do. If you look at the what's new, when we go down to one-time token login, there is a whole section of the documentation that talks about one-time token login. So this is important. This is the stuff that we're going through. We're just going through kind of the beginner stuff here. See, we're building this out, but there is a lot of things that you can kind of customize if you need to. So after you watch this, if you want to take a look at that, that will give you some information on how to customize it. So that's our path. And then all we need is the query param. And the query param is going to be the token. And the token is going to be the one-time token.get token value. So that actually has the token value. That's going to pass that along in the query. So let's say .var, URI components builder. We'll call this a builder. And we have something that we can use. So now we can get a magic link. So we could say string magic link is equal to builder.toURI string. Okay, so that's good. Now we have a magic link that we can go ahead and hand off to our user. So at this point, you could send an email. You could use something like Java Mail for this. You could use SendGrid, which I will use. I just did a tutorial on SendGrid. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll leave a link in the description below. And you could also use something like SMS. Right now, I just want to print this out to the council. So I'm going to say print out, and we'll print out the, let's just say magic link, and then we'll say magic link. Okay. Now we need to do one more thing. When we're done with this, when we are done creating that magic link, we need to redirect the user somewhere. And so I'm going to, let's just say, I'm going to copy this because it has my logger in there as well. But I'm going to use this one-time token generation success handler and get a redirect handler. And I can say new redirect one-time token generation success handler. So we are redirecting to this /OTT/sent. That is going to be the template that I want. So what I can do here is just say this dot redirect handler. And then we can say, where do we want to redirect that to? We can say handle. And I'm going to send the request, the response, and the one-time token. All right. So that's what we want to do when this method is completed. Again, this is the success handler. This is when somebody gets to the login page and we show a form that says, hey, you can give me your username and I'll send you one of these magic links. This is the method that is executed. And we will see that because we will see this happen in the console. So if everything works, let's go ahead and try and run this again. It did not work. Oh, we forgot something. So if we go back here, this is not getting picked up by Spring. Why? Because we forgot to mark it with @component annotation. Now Spring will manage this and it'll see that and it'll see a bean in the system and it'll go, oh, I have a bean of type one-time token generation success handler, and that dependency should be satisfied. And now we are. So let's go back over here and let's go back to our localhost 8080. And now we have a form login, but we also have the request a one-time token. So what I'm going to do is put in my username, which is dvega. I'm going to say send token. Oh, actually, we did not. Yes, so I'm getting that, but we forgot something, right? OTT sent. So I want to put in another template here just to kind of let the user know that, hey, that one-time token that you were requesting, we sent it to wherever we should have. So I'm going to say sent.jte, and it just says, hey, that magic link, please check your email for your one-time token. So let's try this again. And then that redirect handler from our success handler should go ahead and send that off. So let's go ahead and come back here. And I'm going to say dvega and send. And that went to login, which should have went to our sent. But did I forget something? I did. Just skipping so many steps right now. So let's get a get mapping for /OTT/sent and public string OTT sent. And this is just going to return that sent template. All right, let's try this one more time, friends. Nothing like some fun live debugging while we're having fun with friends, right? All right, so let's say login, dvega. Still nothing, huh? Let's see. So we're getting our magic link. We are printing that out, magic link. This redirect handler should be sending us back to /OTT sent. Yes. So this is what I was talking about before. So we need to have a couple of security rules in place for this to work, because we are basically saying everything should be authenticated and we're not authenticated yet. So let's say a request matcher of OTT sent, and then we want to go ahead and permit all. I'm also going to set one up for /login/OTT. We should go ahead and permit all for that. All right, now with our security in place and all of the correct mappings, I feel confident that this is going to work this time. Let's try this again. dvega, there we go. Please check your email. Your one-time token has been sent. Now we haven't actually sent an email yet. We will, but right now all we need is this link. And it says, please input your token. Again, we built that magic link so that it includes it as a query param. I'll go ahead and sign in. And then looks like this has been sent. I think we just kind of got sent to the wrong page. So now we can go to localhost 8080 and we're able to see that super secret homepage because we are authenticated. All right, I'll take a look at this and figure out why we aren't. We should redirect back to the homepage. I'm sure there's a way to do that. And if I can figure that out, I will get that in the final code. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add some email to this. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to use SendGrid. So I just created a new tutorial on how to use SendGrid in Java. And the reason I did that is kind of a precursor to this. I wanted to use it in this application. But if you want to learn more about SendGrid, why you might want to reach for it, some of the advantages over using something like Java Mail, then go ahead and take a look at that. If you want to use Java Mail, please feel free to do that. But what I'm going to do is grab a dependency. I'm going to go into my pom.xml here, and I'm going to say that I need SendGrid. So I'm going to refresh this. We're going to close lots of things here because I'm going to create a new Java class. I'm going to call this my email service. And email service is going to look like this. Again, I just did this in a previous video, so we won't go too far into this. But I need a SendGrid API key. And the way that I'm going to get this is through using the @value annotation. I'm going to store this in my properties. In fact, I'm going to pause the video right now. I'm going to put that in there and not tell you about it because I don't have an environment variable set up right now for it. So I am just going to paste that in as is. But when we get the code up to the repo, when this tutorial is published, that will be in a environment variable. So you can go ahead and open that. Okay, so I have my API key. So now basically this send email is just going to say, hey, I'm the sender, whoever you want to send it to with the subject and the content. I will go ahead and use SendGrid's API to send that email off. Again, there's just some really good advantages to using something like SendGrid. So now I'm going to, actually, I'll keep that in place because we still want to see it printed out. But what I want to do is I want to send an email now. So what I'm going to do is create a body for this. It's going to be a multi-line string. And that way I can go ahead and say, hello from Spring Security. Okay. Below, you will find your magic link to log in to our super secret application. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and put in a placeholder, and then I can add kind of a variable here. This is where string templates would be really nice, but I can just say formatted, and then I'm just going to add the magic link there. So that will replace that with the magic link. So now I have a body. Now I can say, let's go ahead and try this. I need an email service. Did we mark email service with @service? We did not. So let's do that now. Now we can say private final email service, and we can get this through constructor injection. And now I can say, I can use that email service to send an email. Let's just go ahead and log this. So I want to say send to is equal to one time token dot get username. So I can get the username out of this one time token. So that's who we're going to send it to. Well, we don't know who we're going to send it to yet, but sending one time token to email, or actually to username. And then we'll go ahead and say send to. So now I have that send to. I'm going to go ahead and I need to figure out the email. So this is where I might have a database. So I can say private string get email, string username. And this is where I would probably, this would be a database lookup for username. So I'm going to log this. I'm just going to say retrieving email for username. And all I'm going to do is return my work email. Again, this is something I would look up in a database based on the username. So I probably have like some accounts table somewhere. Here's a username, give me an email or whatever form of contact they prefer. Go ahead and send that off to that. Okay, so now I can get an email for this username. The subject, the subject for this is going to be one-time token login. And then the body is going to be the body that we created before. So we have everything we need. We are going to try and send that email. And then if we have an issue, let's go ahead and catch that. That is an IO exception, E. We can just go ahead and print the stack trace for that now. So now we've set up this email. So we're going to send an email when this successfully goes through. So let's see if we can get this to work. Let's go ahead and stop and rerun this. Okay, I'm going to go back over here and try and reload this. And now I'm going to say D Vega. And now your magic link has been sent to your email. I'm going to go ahead and quickly jump into my email. And here we are. So hello from Spring Security. Below you will find your magic link to log into our super secret application. Now SendGrid puts any links in your emails into like their own links so that they can kind of track this stuff. And again, this is for your benefit. We want to see like, okay, how many emails were sent, how many links were clicked on, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Please input your token. Boom. Welcome to our super secret homepage. And again, you've just provided authentication via this kind of magic link in an email so the user doesn't have to log in with their credentials. So that was a lot of fun. One-time token login in Spring Security 6.4. Really easy to set up. It's that one configuration that we need to do in our Spring Security config that's already there anyway. And then we need to provide a success handler. What are we going to do when we go ahead and successfully use that one-time token form login? And again, that form login, that one-time token success login, those can be customized to your liking. They can be built into your existing kind of brand. So that's just kind of the out-of-the-box experience that you get with Spring Security. So I like this. Welcomed addition to Spring Security, along with passkeys. Spring Security 6.4 packed with features. We're on the march to Spring Framework 7. Make sure you check out the documentation to find out everything that happened in Spring Security 6.4. Let me know if you want me to cover anything else. Passkeys. And make sure you check out the documentation to get ready for Spring Framework 7. I had a lot of fun putting this one together, friends. If you learned something new, do me a big favor, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and happy coding, friends.